This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Today we're going to talk about SmackDown Live for February 7th, 2017. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined as always by Wrestling Inc.'s own Raj Giri. Raj, how's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing well. So today we're going to talk about SmackDown Live, a little bit about what happened on Talking Smack. Of course, also touch on Elimination Chamber, which is coming up this Saturday, and touch upon the current status for Seth Rollins as we head into WrestleMania season, or rather, we're in WrestleMania season. It will be here before we know it. That being said, let's start with SmackDown Live. What did you think overall, top-down view on the show last night, Raj?
Yeah, I thought it was just there. I feel like this is the second week in a row where I felt like SmackDown just kind of felt like a lot of filler. And yeah, I didn't think it was anything special.
You know, I thought it was a peppy show. I liked a lot of the individual segments. It did feel like there was some repeat action there. We saw some things that we'd seen obviously a couple times before, which I think is inevitable given the size of both rosters. But I don't know. I thought the better moments outshined any dull ones for certain. It's weird to me that Elimination Chamber is coming up right now. We just come off the Royal Rumble. We're going to the Chamber. They're really putting over the gimmick of the Elimination Chamber match. And I like that SmackDown's got this immediate momentum, but how do you raise the stakes and make it feel really meaningful since we just had the Rumble a week ago?
Well, it just SmackDown lately has just been feeling like the B show. They don't have the big surprises on SmackDown. All the mega stars other than John Cena are on Raw. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that being said, I did like the opening segment with Daniel Bryan. It almost felt like he was teasing that he was going to be leaving again. Yeah, because he is going to have his baby soon. So I'm glad that didn't happen because Daniel Bryan's really one of the high spots of SmackDown, the shining spots. So I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, so Daniel Bryan came out and cut a promo talking about how the last time he was in Seattle was when he announced his retirement, talking about how it was good to be home. And then, of course, he was interrupted by The Miz, who just, such a master of getting heat in any situation. But it was so nicely served up for him going toe-to-toe with Daniel in front of his hometown crowd last night. And then to have him be interrupted by Baron Corbin, and then have Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles come up, setting a fatal four-way. So what do you think of this sort of round-robin promo style that they've been doing lately more and more?
I think they do it too much. But, that being said, it set up the main event. I thought The Miz was great here. AJ, I thought, fumbled a little bit with this promo coming out. But I thought The Miz really, really carried this segment. So,
yeah. And it set up a fatal four-way match for last night. And this is what we were talking about the other night, man. It's like, so we got Elimination Chamber coming up this Sunday. These four guys are going to be in the Elimination Chamber. And then last night we saw them in a fatal four-way match. I feel like, in a lot of ways, it was a preview of what's to come. And that's probably a good question we should ask Matt Morgan on the Monday podcast. But how much repetition is there, or how much do you consciously think about the repetitive choreography when you do these longer, stretched out build-ups, almost like rehearsals, right? I mean, we had 4/6 of the Elimination Chamber match last night facing off. I loved when they did the segment of roll-ups last night. I thought that was very well choreographed and very nicely executed. But you have to wonder, is it just a dry run for what they're going to do on Sunday?
Probably. I mean, that's what the house show matches usually are. I mean, if you're curious what's going to happen on Raw, just look at the weekend live results, and often if you see a match that seems kind of odd, chances are that's because they're prepping it for TV. But yeah, I thought it was a little surprising to have Corbin beat AJ. Especially because as of right now, he's not in a big WrestleMania match. I think AJ could use that momentum after losing the title, especially if AJ's not winning at Elimination Chamber this Sunday. Someone's asking me when I said no megastars. John Armstrong's asking, AJ Styles is not a megastar. No, he's not like a Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, Undertaker. At least in WWE size, as far as a draw and everything goes. So no. But I think he, like I've said, I thought he was the MVP of WWE last year. I think he's awesome, but WWE doesn't perceive him at that level of star, and it just shows in the Royal Rumble poster and the fact that he's probably wrestling Shane McMahon in a throwaway match at WrestleMania. But Yeah, I would have probably had AJ win just to kind of, because I don't think anyone thinks Corbin's going to leave with the WWE title. AJ, I think, is more plausible. So I would have had AJ win that match and make it seem like he's on his way to regaining the title.
I feel like with Corbin, the way they're building him, they need to give him a win here and there just to maintain.
Yeah, you can give him a win, but you don't have to have him win this match. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, it was a night of surprising wins, which we will get to. See, I think even bigger surprise what they did in the tag match, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So yeah, they did hype that we were going to have those 4 men in the Elimination Chamber on Sunday. And then we got something that was a little unique. We got a Luke Harper promo last night. What did you make of that? At first, I like it did a double take. I was like, is this Bray? Is this Randy? I was like, no, the least spoken member of the Wyatt family, sans Eric Rowan doing a promo.
I thought that was the best thing about this episode was them kind of pushing Luke Harper, and it seems like it's working. So I thought that was good. I thought this was a good episode for Harper.
I think it's interesting how they're going to book him and develop him. And I know we've talked about this before. I mean, I think everybody is interested in seeing him succeed because he's got such a unique quality. And even in hearing him talk, right, he actually reminds me more of Foley currently than Foley in his heyday, the way that he has that sort of soft intensity about him. I mean, how do you think they develop this further? He's going up against Randy Orton in Elimination Chamber on Sunday. Do you think that he needs more of a characterization or just being a quiet Wyatt? Oh God, that was the worst thing that I've said. A quiet Wyatt. Do you think that that's enough as far as character development?
I mean, I've been saying it for a while that I think he needs to tweak his character, change his outfit a little bit. I'm not saying, go to trunks and anything like that, but tweak your outfit. Yeah, talk more. But yeah, I think booking him against Randy Orton. I mean, you would think. I mean, with WWE, you never know because wins and losses usually don't matter. But usually with someone with Orton, they do protect him more. So you would assume that Orton's probably winning since he's, heading into WrestleMania into one of the main events.
Yeah.
But I feel like they could have put Harper in there with someone else and give him a win and, give him some momentum before kind of beating him right early into his face turn.
Yeah. After that segment, we had this was interesting, a satellite interview from 2 performers that were in the building, Natalya and Nikki Bella being kept separate given their history of confrontations recently with Tom Phillips asking the questions. Are you getting more interested or invested in this feud? I mean, this is also going to be an Elimination Chamber. We're going to have 3 women's matches on the card. Is that a record in this modern era? I'm trying to think of the last time we went beyond 1 at a pay-per-view, let alone 2.
I think they've done 2 before, but,
yeah, but 3.
3, I can't remember the last time they did that, if they've done that.
And 3 one-on-one matches.
Right. Yeah, I can't think of the last time they've done that. But, with all their top guys in the main event, they got 6 guys that are all, kind of the guys that have been carrying SmackDown in the main event other than Randy Orton. That leaves a lot of room to flesh out the rest of the card.
Yeah. I enjoyed the back and forth. I feel like they're maybe running.
Wait. You enjoyed the Nikki Bella and Natalya back and forth?
I like the way that they do it, but I feel that they get to really mean too quick with it. It doesn't simmer. I think
terrible.
It goes to boil and then it boils over. Like
I feel like this whole feud has just been terrible, and it shouldn't be because they're 2 of the most. Natalia one of the best workers, female workers that they have. Nikki Bella is probably the most over female that they have. Mm-hmm. So it should, at least definitely on SmackDown. So I was hoping that it would be, I was expecting a lot more from this feud. I thought that segment was terrible. The attack on Talking Smack was a little better, but I think one of the things that really brought SmackDown down a couple notches last night was this segment.
It was weird, the pacing of it, having them do this as a sit-down interview in this format. And I think it could have been shorter, and I think that they could have tried to have one where it was a little more civil and then have it, and then cut away from it once it boiled over. But I feel like it goes to the you're going to die old and alone thing. John's going to leave you, and then it's like, where do you go from there? It's like you play that card and then Natalya just runs it into the ground. But yeah, it could have been shorter. But no, I enjoy the way that they've built this. I think that it needs more shades of gray as opposed to black and white, as it were. After that, okay, so speaking of repetition, Dolph Ziggler versus Apollo Crews with a Kalisto run-in after the match. So Crews won. Yes, I mean, it was fast. This was very fast. This was one of those, like, I couldn't believe how quickly it was over. Has this done anything to build your interest in it, this whole back and forth and whatnot with him and Kalisto and Apollo?
Nope.
Yep. Okay, that pretty much sums it up. Someone in the comments, if you're really invested in this feud, tell us more about yourself and why. The best essay that's at least 100 words will get a shout out from me on Twitter.
So one guy's getting on my case because of my comment about Raw having stars and saying what's going to happen when all the part-timers are gone. The biggest star on Raw is a 50-year-old Goldberg. The same thing they do every year. They just bring back part-timers every year. It's been going on for like 10 years. So, when this crop of part-timers is gone, it's going to be Cena and, and Orton once he goes part-time. So it's the same thing that they've been doing. So anyway,
yeah,
I'm not for it. I think it's a big mistake. I don't think the part-timers should be dominating a WrestleMania card. I think it has more downside than upside. You get your one big money match, but it kind of hurts the brand overall and your current stars.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They just don't seem, they almost seem to feel as if, because that's an option, I think it's a crutch, right? And they don't feel the need to elevate or build stars as much because they know they can bring these guys in.
Well, the problem is they don't see a lot of their current stars as megastars. They don't see AJ Styles and Kevin Owens at the same level as they see Undertaker and Goldberg. They see Roman Reigns in that mix. That's why he's thrown into that mix, but not many other guys.
Yeah, I think there's also sort of a pay-per-view mentality still. I know we've talked about this before, but with the network being what it is, you don't have to worry about a buy rate so much. But the idea that if you could see AJ Styles, even John Cena, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns weekly on your TV, then if we're going to bring in The Undertaker, bring in Goldberg, bring him in for bring in Lesnar, that's more incentive to make it special and make it something that's worth tuning in on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, you would think the more we shift away from pay-per-view buys, that's going to change. So after that match, is that happening? I mean, we'll talk about the Elimination Chamber card, but I'm assuming are we getting a three-way between Ziggler, Crews, and Kalisto? Or
they announced a handicap match.
Oh, that's right, 2-on-1.
And then we didn't discuss the Black History spot. They did do a different one, Rosa Parks.
Yes.
Do you think these are weird?
I think that it's strange to me that the WWE involves themselves in everything.
Well, I think it's great that they involve themselves in Black History Month.
Oh, no, it's great that they involve themselves in it, but I'm saying it's almost like they feel a need to a certain segment. It's like we've talked about this before, the most awkward thing they ever did in 2008 when they had Obama and Hillary Clinton and McCain record those get out and vote things.
Well, it's for me, it's not even that. It's like you only have African-American talent, your African-American wrestlers doing these. And I just feel like, I don't know, it just seems like, well, it's important for white people too, have them talk about Rosa Parks,
Yeah, could you imagine Vince McMahon? Vince McMahon's like, Rosa Parks was very important to me. I remember as a child. I mean, can you imagine?
Vince always talks about how MLK is so important to him. So it doesn't have to, but just having your African-American talent reading out the same script, they're just reading different parts. I just think it's just weird. I think you can have everyone talking about it because it did have a big influence.
They're going the safe route, and I'm not saying that Rosa Parks does not.
I don't think it's safe.
Recognize. You don't think it's safe?
No. If you watch NFL or anyone else, when they do Black History Month, they involve everyone. They don't just involve their black players. So
I think the WWE probably there's some sort of case to be made. We talked about this the other night, whether it's New Day, and the criticism they faced when they initially debuted from some people in the black community, especially some sports writers that called them out on their original shtick. I think that the WWE is handling this in the most sensitive, pedestrian way possible. to recognize it while at the same time shielding themselves from any form of criticism.
I think it's kind of the other way. I mean, I think they're coming from a good place when they're doing this, but just saying this is Black History Month. This is who, these are the people who it's important to, I guess. I don't know. It's not Black History Month is not something that's supposed to be just for African Americans. It's supposed to be to celebrate, their contributions and everything. So for everyone. So anyway.
Yeah, but you know what I like about them is they reminded me of, back in the day, those little PSA adverts. I mean, it just needs at the end to go with, and if you'd like to learn more about Rosa Parks, visit your local library. It's got very much that feel to it. But I think that's the audience that they're aiming to with it. I mean, you and I are not the people that they're trying to raise awareness with. I think it's for kids that are watching the program, specifically African-American children.
Right. Like then the kids should know that it's not just African-American, it shouldn't be just African-Americans speaking on, these, the influence that some of these people have had.
I think you need to write a letter, Raj.
I think so.
To the WWE or where's Wrestling Inc? Wrestling Inc needs to recognize Black History Month. I want you to put some packages together. You can spotlight different wrestlers. You could have your Rainbow Coalition talking about what they've meant to them. Why not just don't criticize the problem, fix the problem. I think that's the key.
All right. We'll put you on that.
Absolutely. I'll be happy to just do that and ramble till I put my foot in my mouth. So back from the break, Daniel Bryan had the thing with Ziggler backstage. That's what set up the handicap match. And then went to the ring for the first ever dual contract signing. Was it the first ever dual or the first ever women's duel?
I think it's the first ever duel. I don't remember. Yeah.
I enjoyed that everyone comes out, Mickie James, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, and Naomi does her full entrance. I love that for a contract signing.
Yeah, I thought Alexa was just great here. I thought she's just such a great heel right now. I think she can become SmackDown Charlotte, just a little more seasoning.
Yeah, and at 3/4 of the height. But yeah, I think it was good. Although Mickie, what'd you make of Mickie doing that very slow cadence throughout this? I thought that was a little different than we've seen her recently. Her very intentional delivery style, almost like she was trying to pace it.
I thought, with Mickie, I'm glad that she's on SmackDown. I think it really helps that women's division. I thought she got kind of outshined here by Alexa. So, my takeaway after seeing that was really Alexa's promo.
I thought Alexa was great. It's funny, I was watching it with my wife. She was like, why are they all sort of dressed up and Naomi's in her ring gear? And I was like, because Naomi knows how these things go in the WWE. When's the last time we had a contract signing without it devolving into some sort of brawl?
Yeah, there's been a few, but usually that's usually not the case.
Yeah, this isn't the UFC. They don't shake hands at the end, get in each other's face, and everyone turns around and goes their separate ways.
Even though that could be effective once in a while, if you just have them get in their face and leave it at that.
I think the live crowd would, for TV, that would be cool. I think the live crowd would be a little pissed. It's like, I came here to see stars. This isn't what I came to see.
Yeah, but it's not about that episode of SmackDown. It's about to build a pay-per-view. Yeah. So if you have them in an intense face-off, like if you did that with Goldberg and Lesnar, and then you had, a bunch of referees and they're breaking it up, which is kind of what they were doing before Survivor Series. I think it's more effective than kind of doing the same thing where whoever's winning gets beaten down. And yeah, who did get beaten down? The heels got the better end of it last night, right?
Yeah, they Naomi and Becky threw him out of the ring, threw him back into the ring, and then the heels took off.
Okay, so the heels are winning this Sunday, basically.
And I don't know if you heard this, Mickie said when she was walking back, she was yelling at her and said, "I'm wearing heels," which I was like,
that's pretty good.
The little asides, that's the parts for me that really make or break an episode a lot of the time. Let's take a moment right now and thank the sponsor of this episode, which is DDP Yoga, DDPY. So you've seen their stuff. Their awesome Max Pack. It's used by Chris Jericho, AJ Styles, Mick Foley, Goldust. These guys have used DDPY and gotten in the best shape of their lives. The year is 10% over. What are you doing for your health? What are you doing for your fitness? Right now, we've got a deal for you. You can get 25% off 3 months of full access to the DDP Yoga Now app, or you can get 3 months of full access plus the DVDs for 25% off. And great deal, get a Max or Combo Pack at 25% off and get 50% off a second one. Get an accountability buddy. partner up on this. Do DDP Yoga. Take control of your health. Take control of your life for 2017. Diamond Dallas Page going into the Hall of Fame this year. This man has changed so many lives with DDP Yoga. Look at the Jake the Snake documentary. Look at the Scott Hall documentary. See just how these guys have transformed themselves, even in an older age, right? You hear about how hard it is to get in shape as you get older, and these guys were able to do it. How? DDPY. Here's what we want you to do. Head on over to our link at ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. That's ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc to take advantage of that deal. Again, 25% off, or buy a Max or combo pack at 25% off. Get 50% off the second one. Go sign up now, ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. And we thank them for sponsoring the Wrestling Inc. podcast. So last night, this was newsworthy. The Ascension, now, even though this was a 3-on-3 tag match, the Ascension pinned somebody. That kind of breaks their losing streak, to have a member of the Ascension involved in a victory. I actually went and looked online. 2015 was the last time this happened. They went 2016, just losing. For me, this was one of the high points of the night.
Really?
Just because it was like, I mean, think about it. When you see the Ascension, do you ever
No, I think this is a bathroom break, and that's what this match was. It was just filler. These multi-person tag team matches with, Breezango and Ascension and the Vaudevillains just keep bringing American Alpha down. That's why they're not. They've been stuck in the same spot despite winning the tag titles. So. Fine. The Ascension got a win, but it doesn't mean anything. And American Alpha and the Usos could have used the win more because they're a team you could do something with. American Alpha and the Usos should be removed from these teams as soon as possible to kind of get some steam and kind of break away from this mundane minutia that is the SmackDown tag team division.
Now, do you think it's injury with the Usos that derailed this repackaging of them and getting a push, or do you think that they just don't know what they want to do with it? They really know they're not feeling it creative, because it seems like this was set up, right? They were set up as the credible heel tag team in SmackDown, and I feel like they have not been booked that way. We have not seen this play out. You've had, the Wyatts get a championship victory under SmackDown for the tag titles, but not the Usos.
Well, this is the problem when Dolph Ziggler turns heel, and when you beat him right off the bat when they turn heel. The Usos were beaten the next week after they turned heel. I feel like when you give someone a character change, you got to give them a lot of momentum. And with Ziggler, when I say a lot of momentum, I'm not talking about just beating up Kalisto with a chair every week. I'm talking about quickly going up, quickly breaking out from where they were, from the mid-level that they were stuck at, going up a notch and going from there. Because Ziggler is basically in the same spot he was before, just, now as a heel.
Well, and with the Usos, they actually lost something in turning them heel, because as faces, they were pretty over with kids. I felt like that they were colorful, they were enjoyable, they were good for what they were. And now as heels, I don't know, do the Usos even have a fan base really anymore? I think that there's just no momentum with it. And yeah, you're absolutely right that putting them amongst this cast of characters, same with American Alpha, it's like we had the sideshow mixed with the credible teams last night. And they've been doing this more and more.
Lisa is asking, why not let them win so they can actually build other teams? That's fine. Just don't put American Alpha and the Usos in it. And when you've been building them as a job team for 2 years and then all of a sudden give them a win, it's fine, but it doesn't matter. And that's what I'm saying.
I think it was a nice little pleasant surprise just to see something different happen. It certainly got my attention. And push the Ascension. I think that's what we can really take away from this, is that this is the start of their push, and main event WrestleMania. We're going to see the comeback. No, I don't know. They're probably not going to do anything with them. I just thought it was nice for
they'll probably be in the Andre Battle Royal.
Yeah. Maybe next the Vaudevillains can get a win. That hasn't happened in quite some time. But last night the Ascension, the Usos, and the Vaudevillains did win that 3 tag match, and we're gonna have tag team turmoil. So they're basically just tossing everyone in the ring. How's that gonna work at Elimination Chamber?
I think what do they usually do with tag turmoils? Isn't it 2 teams are in and they can tag whoever they want?
Oh, so it's that one, the sort of any man goes, as opposed to
it's not like everyone's just in the ring.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll get to our predictions later in the episode, but man, it's just they really got to move someone from Raw. I don't even know who from Raw. Anyone from Raw. Just they need to shake this up or move American Alpha to Raw. I don't know. Like just this, it's getting too weird. This tag team division here. I've talked about this before, but it's like you're seeing an entire comic book universe of characters trying to fight against each other, and it looks strange. It's like an Aquaman villain fighting an X-Men character. It's just it does not match when you have American Alpha as real athletes and these other guys that are cartoon characters. That's my take on it. So we got a plug. David Otunga is going to be on Criminal Minds, and I love that the WWE puts over any appearance by their talent on any other show. It's like starring in an episode of Criminal Minds, and they like cut to the clip, and it's like he's in this for 15 seconds.
It's fine. I mean, it was weirder when was it the Seahawks when they won the Super Bowl and Daniel Bryan was in the Seahawks parade and they didn't mention it on TV.
Because who knows who Daniel Bryan is?
That's when Daniel Bryan was on the up and up. It was either World Series parade or the Super Bowl parade, and they didn't show Daniel Bryan at all when he was one of their top stars. So,
remember the Today Show spent 2 minutes with John Cena talking about his match against the guy from Atlanta. Again, shows you, and that kind of underscores your point about AJ Styles. There are people the WWE sees as the Goldbergs, the Lesners, those that they can mention in mainstream media who people know about, and those that is just for us wrestling nerds. Yeah. And that's how they see AJ Styles. Yeah,
if those hosts had said that they didn't know who Randy Orton was, that would not make WWE TV.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is an interesting double standard. Remember, as much as we love AJ Styles, that is what Vince thinks of him. We got the package again about the Rock and Roll Express going to the Hall of Fame, and that brought us to the main event last night, which was John Cena versus Randy Orton. Of course, there were hijinks and interference in the match, causing John Cena to win, but it not being a clear and definitive win over Orton. What did you think of the match themselves with these two guys going at it? It's been a while since we've seen this.
I thought it was good. I mean, these guys can go. I didn't think it was anything special. I didn't think it was one of their best matches, but 50-50. Orton pinned Cena last week. Cena pinned Orton this week. But it was fine.
I feel like Orton still got some go in him, but it's not the same as seeing Cena versus AJ or Cena versus Ambrose or one of these younger guys who I think has a little more energy with it. With Randy, I feel like Randy is along for the ride on a lot of matches. So it was kind of weird to see two guys that occupy that same mindset in the ring going against each other. I thought it was a serviceable match, but I didn't think it was by any means a barn burner. There were no real standout moments to me.
I think it's just been done so much that there's no buzz when they're in there, and there should be for being two of the biggest stars of the last decade in WWE. You would think it would be the crowd would be insanely hot. They were normal. It was like they were just as hot as if it was Dean Ambrose against AJ. So.
And it could have been more, right? I mean, that video package before, I thought the video package did a fantastic job of building the match, putting it into historical context, the way that their rise paralleled one another. I think that, yes, this could have been a much bigger match in a pay-per-view if they would have had more time. Pardon me, if they would have had more time to make the match better. But I thought the build towards the match was fantastic last night.
All right. Alyssa's asking, can you tell me some time in wrestling you actually like? How many things did I mention already? Jeez, I said Alexa Bliss's promo, Daniel Bryan at the beginning. Other than that, this episode I said from the beginning was average. Now, more than not, I'm usually praising SmackDown. So yes, there is a lot of times when I'm praising. This was not one of those weeks.
But the best moment of that match last night, or not the best moment, perhaps my favorite moment, I called this out on Twitter. Love the continuity nod when they walked over the table and Randy Orton picks up JBL's cowboy hat and sets it down for him nicely there. I just thought that was a great little moment that occurred in the match, a little detail that for me really elevated it, that they think about this stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, because they hyped it up with his dad, obviously, I mean, we know his dad was Cowboy Bob Orton, but I just thought that was a nice little touch, as it were, to see him do that. And it's kind of like, when we we'll see, what was it a few weeks ago when it was a Randy, right? Who is it that went over to what's his name's kids that was going over. Yeah, wasn't it Randy going over to
Shane McMahon's kids.
Shane's kids. Just little things like that during a match where it's kind of like, I don't know, it's sort of unexpected moments for me are a big part of it. And I really liked that last night. Thought that was nice. All in all, which do you think was the better show this week, SmackDown or Raw?
I'd have to say Raw again by a hair, just because I think Samoa Joe. I think that was that helped Raw edge out SmackDown.
Yeah, I think Raw was a stronger Raw than usual this week, but I think both shows did okay. There weren't a lot of real duds in either this week. There were some lesser moments, but not anywhere near the depths of what we've seen in some of the lesser weeks. That being said, what's the card looking like right now for Elimination Chamber? We've got the Elimination Chamber match, obviously, with Baron Corbin, AJ Styles, The Miz. Sorry, I'm scrolling here.
So Cena, Styles, Bray Wyatt, Baron Corbin, The Miz, and Dean Ambrose. By the way, did you hear what John Cena said on Talking Smack?
Which part?
At the end, that about him and AJ, and no one else is really on their level right now in the Elimination Chamber.
No, I missed that part of the interview. I did watch Talking Smack last night, though. It's great to see Daniel Bryan back.
Yeah, I thought that that was interesting, mainly because of Bray Wyatt's in the match, and he's going to be most likely the WWE champion after Sunday. So it's kind of interesting hearing Cena say that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I wonder if it's intentional or not. I thought it was strange that we had the beatdown between Nikki and Natalya, and then Cena comes out and awkwardly had to sort of explain him and Nikki's relationship, like why he wasn't phased by it's like, hey, your woman was here earlier and got the crap kicked out of her. We had to sort of cart her out of here. He was like, oh, I wasn't aware that happened.
Yeah, that was kind of awkward.
Corbin last night, though, I have to say, I thought Corbin did a really good job. On Talking Smack, he's done these little in-character shoots before, and I thought last night was the best one. I think he's really getting the hang of this thing finally, as far as who his character is. Yeah,
I mean, he's better when he's unscripted, I think.
Yeah.
So who do you pick for that for the main event?
I don't know. It'll probably be Bray, right? Because from a storytelling point of view, this is their only opportunity to do it at a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Between now and Mania.
What about Randy Orton and Luke Harper?
That's a tough one. I think they're going to give it to Randy again because they're building it towards Mania. I think they want to build Luke, but I don't think they have a storyline for Luke right now. Aside from the whole Wyatt thing, he's the odd man out in this, right? If the money feud is going to be Bray and Randy going into Mania, then I think with Luke, they're going to have to rebuild him and give him a 6-week Strowman-like push to really develop him.
Yeah. For the tag titles, we got American Alpha defending against the Ascension, Heath Slater and Rhino, the Vaudevillains, Breezango, and the Usos.
They can move I think they can move the belts to the Usos, but I don't think they've been booking the Usos in a way that suggests that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably not the worst idea. But I see American Alpha retaining.
Yeah.
And then SmackDown Women's title match, Alexa Bliss versus Naomi.
I would love to see Naomi win, but I don't think she's ready on the mic yet for it.
Yeah, I think Alexa Bliss is winning that. The 2-on-1 handicap match with Ziggler against Kalisto and Apollo Crews.
I think we all lose that match. We're the losers in that situation.
Yes, it ended with Dolph Ziggler beating down Kalisto and Apollo Crews, so I'm guessing Kalisto and Apollo Crews get the win here.
Poor Dolph, man. Like they gave him that little push earlier in the year of last year. Like he got her like
he always it's like every other year he gets a minor push, and then it's taken away almost immediately.
Yep, he knows what his role is.
Natalya versus Nikki Bella.
It's got to be Nikki, right?
Yep, I would think so.
Natalya doesn't need. I mean, there's no reason whatsoever at this point, unless they think there's more legs in this feud, which I don't know. Maybe there's nothing else to do. I mean, Carmella didn't even make it on TV last night. She was like an online video on YouTube for the WWE. So
yeah.
So maybe they might continue this beyond it.
Mike is asking, with them likely doing Cena and Nikki versus the Miz and Maurice at WrestleMania, do we see Cena proposing to Nikki at the end of the match? I think that's I think that's why they would do it, right?
That's the rumor, man.
I
That's
mean,
gotta be
because they're bringing Cena and Nikki's relationship, on screen for the first time. So using it as part of the storyline. So I'm sure that, and it's probably Nikki's it's her last match as a full-time performer. She's taking time off after WrestleMania and it won't be working a full-time schedule again, at least not for the foreseeable future. So
I think the proposal there, if that's the case, I think if that match happens, it has to be because of the proposal. There's no other reason to do that, right? Like no one cares about that particular matchup as a wrestling match in and of itself. I think Cena versus The Miz again would actually be very entertaining. I hope there's a really good build to that. I think Cena versus The Miz, just at this stage where they both are promo wise, will be incredible. But that stipulation in the match, I think, it's got to lead to a proposal. And I think that's the sort of thing that Vince McMahon might be so happy at the idea of that happening at WrestleMania, he might actually, have a heart attack just from sheer joy. That's got televised moment all over it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if you're putting Cena in this kind of a match, it only makes sense if you have that, because that will be a big story the next day. At least on the Eon lines and like TMZs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That would be huge press for WrestleMania. Casey Jones is asking, do you think we'll get the draft after Mania, or do you think they'll wait till it was a full year?
I think after Mania makes the most sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it'll be until, well, I guess you could wait till June. I think because they usually don't do it right after Mania, right? When they did in the past, I thought it was like a month after.
But man, we could use it. We could use the shakeup right now. Something, a couple more call-ups, redistribute things, because I feel that we're getting to the bottom of this creative well with the current rosters as they are.
Yeah.
Got Becky versus Mickey coming up.
Becky versus Mickey. Yep, that's the last one. I think Mickey takes this one.
Yeah, to build it up, to give the match more stakes and more storytelling. I think they could go. The reason they could, if they want to do something with Becky, Mickey at Mania, Naomi could win the belt just to get it off Alexa, to get it onto Mickey, to have Mickey hold that title going into Mania. That's the only way I could see something happening with Naomi getting the belt right now.
Possibly. I mean, if they do, like we mentioned, they pretty much have 10 matches that are kind of set for WrestleMania, and they usually have 8 to 11. So there's not room for much more. You would think, someone was asking what they do with Baron Corbin. I'm guessing they do a multi-person Intercontinental title match that would have Ambrose and Baron Corbin and, maybe Ziggler and Cruz and Kalisto. And I guess you could do another multi-person women's match for the SmackDown titles, but you're running out of spots.
And when's the next SmackDown pay-per-view after this? Is Payback? Payback's a Raw pay-per-view, right? So we don't have a SmackDown pay-per-view until what? I mean, it's gonna be like 2 months. No, not even that, because Payback is at the end of April, so we're not gonna have a SmackDown pay-per-view till May.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the same distance between Royal Rumble and Fastlane.
Yeah,
so it's not too bad.
Yeah, crazy. So I don't know. I think they've got to. This is their chance to do something to set things in motion for storylines going forward with Elimination Chamber. Now, with this, do you feel like because of the way the card is looking, and because of the proximity coming up to a really big Royal Rumble, that the odds are against Elimination Chamber being? I mean, do you think it almost pigeonholes it into being a smaller pay-per-view at this point, that is not going to get as much attention because it's SmackDown? Feels like, aside from the Elimination Chamber match, we don't have huge stakes or anything interesting happening?
Well, here's the thing with SmackDown, and the internet is really behind SmackDown. Like, if you say something about Raw being better than SmackDown, they go nuts. So SmackDown has kind of become the IWC's show for WWE. And but the fact of the matter is, it doesn't get as much attention as Raw in general. The Raw pay-per-views get more attention than SmackDown, and then you go to the big four, which get the most, obviously. So the last few SmackDown pay-per-views have hardly gotten haven't made much of a dent. I mean, they do I mean, we'll see increases those days, but not near the level of a Raw pay-per-view. And
in terms of site traffic.
Yeah, inside the site traffic, interest, network signups that are, coming from our side, things like that. And even you look at the comment section. You look at the comment section for a Raw versus a SmackDown, or a Raw pay-per-view versus a SmackDown pay-per-view. It's a big change. So I'd like to see SmackDown get more steam. It's clear that WWE, I mean, just by how they always have their top stars, Samoa Joe debuts, it's on Raw. The Undertaker's now appearing on Raw as opposed to SmackDown, where he really should be. So yeah, I think it's just clear that they have Raw pegged as the A show and SmackDown as the B show again.
Well, since we're talking about this on the SmackDown edition of our podcast, let me take a moment and pander to our audience. You are the cooler wrestling fans. You are the cooler people because you are mega into SmackDown. And if you listen to Raj and I talk about it week after week, you can tell that we are, for the most part, we're more into SmackDown too. It's the better show. Those people just watching Raw, they're not cool.
Yeah, the big thing that Raw has is it has more of the unpredictability factor. I think SmackDown is more, it's kind of by the numbers. You don't see big surprises, whereas on Raw you'll see there's more of a what's going to happen element.
I don't know, man. Ryan Phillippe showed up on SmackDown like a couple weeks ago, and that was pretty epic, man. Kurt Hawkins just had a great Cruel Intentions reference, and
that was huge.
That was a big moment. Actually, God, SmackDown, you're right about the element of surprise. And I think with the pay-per-views, it's a self-perpetuating cycle, right? Because you can make the argument that, hey, let's book a big part-timer for a SmackDown run. Let's have them come back, do a SmackDown pay-per-view, have a run. SmackDown will never be the bigger show if they don't book it even on par with Raw. It's really not a fair competition.
Well, you know what Paul Heyman would do back in the day with ECW, and what he said he wanted to do with TNA. When there were talks of him joining back in the day, and man, how different that company would have been if they did get him. But with ECW, if he brought in someone like a Sid Vicious or someone like that, he would have one. He wouldn't flood it with former stars. He would keep like one, maybe two max, to help build the younger guys over. And that's what he would say with TNA. He, when they had Hogan, Sting, and all these guys, he would say he said that he would only have one. And I think if you did the part-timer gig, that's fine, but have one on each brand at the most to help the younger guys get over, and not just keep bringing them back every year just for WrestleMania. So.
Well, but the good news is that SmackDown being a 2-hour show, not having that same pressure that Raw has, I feel like SmackDown has done more interesting things storytelling wise in terms of the type of segments they've done, the way they've put more of an emphasis on storytelling and character building. I think that's the strength of it being more under the radar from a WWE point of view. Because with Raw, I mean, look at all the things that we critique Raw, all the problems with Raw. I think that comes from the immense pressure they have for Raw to stay on that level. Yeah,
but also, for how long we've been into this brand extension, SmackDown is getting to highlight a lot of the other wrestlers that otherwise wouldn't be, but they haven't really moved up to a big star level. Like Royal Rumble, you had one SmackDown match on the main card. Again, this is mostly in WWE's eyes, but when you look at these, the main cards for these big shows, SmackDown's kind of, it's kind of the same guys that you would expect before the draft happened.
Yeah. I mean, how long do you think, when we're looking years from now in the history books of the second brand extension, how long do you think this one lasts?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily failing or anything. I think I don't think there's an interest for the pay-per-views other than the big four that there used to be for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because once you do, the big problem with WWE, what they did last time, when they made SmackDown the B show, well, then people could start missing it, and their ratings went down, and then they stopped caring, and people stopped buying the pay-per-view. So then they combined the pay-per-views, but then the ratings kept falling down, house show attendance. So once you establish your B show, it's dangerous, because then that business is going to, never pick up. And that's what for a real 2-brand system, you need 2 strong brands and to try to treat them equally.
There
So
was yeah, I'm sorry.
once they start combining the pay-per-views, I mean, that's usually the paintings on, the paints on the wall.
There was that photo from a couple months ago. I think what was it, Reno, the SmackDown house show on a Monday, going up against a Monday Night Raw that was in the Bay Area. What have you been hearing about the attendance of these Monday Night SmackDown smaller market shows they've been doing?
They've been really poor, but
Yeah.
you would expect. I mean, I think a Raw live event would be doing the same. If it was up on a Tuesday against SmackDown, it's early in the week. It's a live event, not a TV taping. So, but in general, Raw has been getting much more attention. Their attendance has been a lot better in SmackDown. I don't know how much of that is factoring the Monday numbers into it, but it's still the Raw house shows do better.
Yeah, it's interesting to see just the logistics of how this works out. How long's the WWE deal with USA? How much longer does that have on it?
I think it's 2018.
Oh,
I don't think they're in danger of losing USA at all.
I don't think they're in danger of losing, but that obviously sometimes forces the hand. Like decisions are sometimes made depending on how that goes in terms of the amount of revenue, the money that's promised, the downside,
right,
etc.
And their ratings have dropped every year. If they drop another 10-15% this year when football season starts, another 10, you'll have to wonder if they'll get the same kind of deal that they got before.
Yeah.
Right now, Matt Morgan is scheduled to join us on the Elimination Chamber review show.
Yes, he's been in Hawaii, and it looks like he's having a fantastic time if you follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
So cool, man. Let's touch quickly upon Seth Rollins and what's going on with him, and also Finn Balor while we're at it. So what's up with Seth?
Seth, so it looks like he's going to be able to make WrestleMania. Dave Meltzer said that WWE has behind the scenes said that they're proceeding as if Rollins can make it. Obviously, I doubt his knee will be 100%. I'm sure they're going to have to work a safer match and yeah. So that match is a go.
I think from a storytelling point of view, this actually will help the story, right? Because Seth can talk about how even with the injury, even with that he wants Triple H that bad, that he wants to do this. I don't know. I think from a storytelling point of view, this is good. But I mean, Seth did so well when he came back from his injury last year in terms of his perspective, his motivation, his hunger. And I think this puts it in the grand scheme of things. This is great for putting that front and center in the fans' minds once again.
Yeah, my concern is that they have Triple H win this match when Seth Rollins really needs it. Seth Rollins was supposed to be Raw's top babyface, and he's kind of been, he hasn't gotten to the level that he should be at because of how he's been booked. I don't think him losing at Mania does him any favors, and I could see them doing a storyline where Triple H just pounds on the knee and works the knee and beats Rollins, and then they do, a rematch at the next Raw pay-per-view where Seth gets his win back. But it's the Mania match that people remember.
Yeah, and I don't think Triple H needs to be doing more than that Mania appearance right now. I think, if it's special and they're going to use it like it's special, keep it special. Don't have him show up at Payback. But who knows? And with Finn, so what's the word on that? Everything I'm seeing on the internet says things are actually progressing, and we might be getting something in the coming months.
Yeah, it looks like he should be. I'm guessing he'll be doing something at WrestleMania. Wow. Whether that's, he could be a surprise in the Andre Battle Royal. He's not pegged for a top match right now, but that could always change. Some people are saying Finn versus Samoa Joe. And that's easily something they could do because Samoa Joe doesn't really have anything right now, and he's getting a big push.
Now, Owens benefited the most from Finn's injury. Do you think Owens is going to be the one that suffers of the main guys once Finn comes back? Do you think it's going to edge him out and they keep Strowman in that upper picture, or who do you think gets bumped to make room for Finn?
I don't know if they'll go all the way with Finn right when he comes back. Usually when someone comes back from injury, unless it's someone established as a real top guy, they kind of go down a notch before building him back up. So I'm sure Finn will be back in the main event, picture this summer, but probably not right off the bat. But it's looking like Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho anyway. But yeah, I mean, you need fresh blood at the top, so that'll be good with Finn back.
Cool, man. So anything else we should touch upon before we take this home?
I think that's about it.
Cool, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in once again to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. If you like it, subscribe on YouTube. I was going to say YouTunes. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on iTunes. Leave us a review or a rating. Follow me on Raj on Twitter. Our links are in the show notes. And follow Wrestling Inc., of course, for all the Elimination Chamber news as we head towards that pay-per-view on Sunday. Raj, myself, Matt Morgan will be here immediately after the pay-per-view ends to discuss everything that happened. Again, not to or put too fine a point on it, but 3 women's matches on the card Sunday night, which is cool. Yeah. I mean, if you're a fan of women's wrestling and that whole women's evolution, this is definitely more proof that the WWE takes that seriously.
Yeah, we'll see with Alexa Bliss and Naomi. Alexa's still a little green with her ring work, so we'll see how that goes. But I think Nikki and Natalya has the potential to be really good, and I think Mickey and Becky Lynch should be really good. So looking forward to those.
Cool, everybody. So until next time, I'm Glenn Rubenstein, and I'll see you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.